Animal House and the hottest ticket for anyone to get. And it was literally my third audition, and I had never seen a full script before.
Wow.
I'd only seen, like somebody said, say this, and I did it because I'd only done a couple of things before that. I was mainly a model. And in the audition, it's a wonderful story. There's like about 20 guys in the room and one female who was the writer. And she actually, her name was Sherry Cafaro. And this was before my time, but she was really famous for some movies called the Ginger movies. And her husband at the time had produced them, and he was producing Hots. And when they handed me the script, I started doing every single character, not just the character that I was reading for, and I would change my voice. And and to the look on the room of these guys, they were like, what is this girl doing? And Sherry very sweetly said, Lisa, you know what, sweetheart, let's step outside for a second. She goes, you know what, let's not confuse these men. Just do the role of O'Hara, because that's the one I think you have the best shot of.
Wow.
So we went back in, I did it. I ended up leaving in tears thinking I had done so horribly.
Oh, no.
And then I got the call that I booked it, and it was a lead role for literally my third audition.
Bravo.
And the rest was history, as they say.
Wow.
It's a cult classic, and I'm proud of it. Strip football game, baby.
This is true. Wow. Hot. Because you're also in Private Resort, which was a huge movie. That's what gave the world basically Johnny Depp.
Yes, yes.
This is Nightmare on Elm Street.
And also, I think it was Andrew Dice Clay's first film.
And Bronson Pinchot, I believe, was his, either that or,
And Michael Bowen is in it.
Michael Bowen is in it?
Hector Elizondo. Rob Morrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Michael Bowen is like Tarantino's favorite actor. He's the rapist in Kill Bill and Orderly.
He's a great actor.
He's the evil boyfriend in Valley Girl. He's
also
Night of the Comet. He gets his
and he's a Carradine brother also.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and I'm about ready to star in a movie in Florida called Nearly Departed with Bobby Carradine, which I cannot wait to do. I'm doing that in May.
I did David Carradine's last interview for Fangoria.
Oh, wow.
Before he left for the project in Thailand. I was able to get him to talk to me for my piece on Death Race 2000.
That's very cool.
Wow, Bobby Carradine. I've got stories about him. He lived next to a musician friend of mine, but none of the stories, they're all very cool, but none can be told on the air.
Well, I actually met him like my first week in Hollywood because my first and best friend till this day, we're still BFFs, Christine DeBelle, who was in Meatballs, and we starred in a bunch of movies together. We did
Christine DeBelle is your best friend?
Yeah, and we did a movie called Three Wicked Witches for David Dakota, who was a big Roger Corman dude. Now he does all of his own great films.
Yeah, 1313.
And we also did Samurai Cop 2, Deadly Vengeance for Greg Hatanaka. And that's the one, with Tommy Wiseau that the disaster artist is about. Right. So, yeah. So that was pretty hysterical. But anyway, Bobby was Christine's boyfriend. So
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I cannot wait to see him in Florida because that's going to be a really big full circle.
I talked to him at Son of Monster Palooza, and he was cool. He said he would come on the show, and I had Steve send him an email. I haven't heard back from him yet.
I love it.
Was your picture attached? Because that would explain so much.
Well, he'll be seeing me in the flesh, and I'll put in a good word for you.
Nobody's going to duck you, baby.
No, not yet. Hasn't happened yet.
Wow. Well, I'm just, because at first I thought, wow, we're having Lisa London, the casting director, on. But even better, it's Lisa London, the redhead.
And that's another funny story, because Lisa and I, our father's name, we both have fathers named Jerry London. Her dad was a director, and my dad was the radio personality, did the Bob Hope Classic for 25 years, and worked on worked for CBS.
Your dad
in Palm Springs, KCMJ Radio, 1010 on your radio dial.
Wow, did that again.
I grew 1010 on your radio dial.
God, that's
I grew up in radio stations. So
that's why this is like a second skin to you.
It
because
is.
She literally, you guys, she got here early, which is something that shocks us about any of our guests. And she was sober, unlike most of our guests. No, but she popped down in the chair.
That.
You present very well.
I do. Always have, always will.
Wow. Well, I have to say, but you plopped down in the chair, plopped down the headphones, and she was good to go literally 20 minutes before we're out in the air.
Well, I should hope so. I've been on the air, like I said, since I was like 3 years old. So,
Although you're a filthy coffee snob. We've already learned that.
I am. I'm very, very hoity-toity about my coffee. It has to be perfect or I won't drink it.
Oh, she sniffs. A Keurig. Thank you for not telling us we're killing the rainforest. Too many people complain about that. Listen, I would smash the last sea lion for I would smash the last baby seal for a cup of Keurig.
Oh, no. We can't talk about baby animals. They're my passion.
As long as that baby sea lion, the last baby seal is not standing between me and that Keurig, he's A-okay.
I do kind of get the point about coffee, though. I do.
In morning coffee, you can't say no.
I know. The ritual of it. The
It
smell.
is. Once the smell hits you, it's like
heavenly.
It's like the scene when you get jacked up on drugs in what's the Where the Day Takes You? What's that thing called? Come on, it won the Oscar. Man, where they're all getting high on drugs.
Like a train stopping type of
No,
thing?
no, the what's her name won the
don't
Oscar
know.
for? Jennifer Connelly. Oh, come on.
I have no clue.
No, I have to look this damn thing up. I never have to look stuff up.
I'm surprised.
Oh, A Beautiful Mind?
No, you're close though. There was no drugs in A Beautiful Mind.
You said Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah, she won the Oscar for it. She's the. Oh, come on.
Jennifer Connelly won for A Beautiful Mind.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
But she's in.
That's our girl from The Rocketeer, man.
Yes, but she was nominated for this. I thought she won for this, but oh God, what's it called? It was directed by the guy who did The Fountain. Compelling radio. Hold on.
I can't help you.
I'm begging you, help me. Hold on. Let's see.
It has nothing to do with me, so
It
I don't
doesn't,
have a
so-
clue.
By the way, you're typical actress. How dare you? Okay, let's see.
So while Jeff is licking that in, how was your drive in?
How was your drive in? Dan the man
You're
asked.
asking me? It was, I
He doesn't
literally...
give a damn about our run.
I literally flew here. That's why I got here so early. But I just didn't want to risk it because I know we were going on live and anything can happen.
Anything.
Somebody get a flat tire and block the
Requiem for a
freeway
Dream.
for an hour.
Requiem for a Dream.
Never saw it.
Oh, wow. Well, it's a movie. And when you drink and when you get high in the movie, your eyes like explode. That's what coffee is like. For long.
Well, I'm glad we solved that mystery.
Thanks, smartass. Tell us more. You worked with Clint Eastwood on Sun and Impact. What was
I
he
did.
like?
That was my first dramatic part, and
Wow.
Clint is unbelievable. He knows exactly what he wants. He shoots beautifully. He shoots under budget. He respects his actors like, well, he was an actor, so I think a lot of actors that become directors are also really wonderful that way because they know what it's like to be an actor. And he once he casts you, he believes in just trusting you that you're going to bring the best and bring that character alive exactly the way it should be. And it was heavenly to work with him.
Wow. That's kind of exciting because, again, you're seeing there's an implication of violence, but as you're pointing out to me, there's no violence on screen.
Yeah, it's basically a close-up on my face, almost the entire scene. But the way he shot it, the tension he got, the intention of the dude that played the killer and me, and I'm so terrible right now. I feel awful. I'm spacing out on the actor's name. He went on to do quite a few great things too. But that movie was just an unbelievable experience to shoot on location in Santa Cruz with Clint Eastwood for my first dramatic role. It was pretty amazing.
You actually went to Santa Cruz with Clint Eastwood. Wow.
Go ahead, make my day.
That's the movie
One
that's
of the best
movie.
lines ever.
And what's exciting about that sequence, that opening sequence, that's Marla Corday as the waitress who puts too much sugar in his coffee.
Yeah, she was fabulous also.
She's from she was from Tarantula, Universal Studios Tarantula. She was like in the Universal stable back in the 50s with Eastwood.
I didn't know that.
And he put her in this movie.
Yeah, he's so wonderful and loyal. I mean, I stupidly, because I was so young, I didn't stay in touch. Because when a director like that says to you, stay in touch, you should. But just recently, actually, I forgot what his last film was, but my reps got a hold of him too late for casting, but he was so wonderful and loved the fact that they had called and said, I love Lisa, next one, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So, yeah, but it was pretty cool.
That's kind of neat. You know what I mean? I mean, tell us about Naked Cage. Again, the woman in prison movie you did with Angel Tompkins. Where'd you shoot that? Was that where'd you shoot it?
That was shot on location all over Los Angeles, and we actually shot in Sybil Brand Prison.
You were in Sybil Brand.
Which is a gnarly prison. Well, there's a scene where I'm being thrown into my cell, and everyone said, oh my God, your acting, this was so incredible, blah, 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 because I scream and I'm freaking out. But that's because a giant rat really ran over my bare feet. And I'm like, oh my God. And then just to think that, people actually had to live and be in those conditions is pretty intense. But wow. I love that film.
I do too.
Quentin Tarantino just did a big revival thing, and we did a Q&A at the Beverly Theater, and it was pretty remarkable to see how it stands up and how ahead of its time it was. I mean, a women's prison movie, women's rights were involved, racial tensions, and just the clothing and even the hair and makeup, even though it's quintessential 80s. It has
all the big hair. You guys look like a bunch of Sharpays.
It was so weirdly, wonderfully iconic that it's no wonder that it is a cult film also. And I also sing and co-wrote a song that's in it.
Is that the ending credit song, Naked Cage?
It plays all through this big sequence. It's like this dance dream kind of sex sequence between me and the warden.
Ooh,
so
wow.
we have to give this one
another look, peeps.
It was a trip to serenade myself, so to speak. Yeah, but that was a great role. Yeah.
Did mom and dad see the Naked Cage?
They did. They did. They really, really loved it. The only time my parents, it's so funny, my dad was cool about everything, but my mom got really flipped out at Sudden Impact. And I'll never forget when Clint Eastwood went to shake my mother's hand at the premiere, this huge Hollywood premiere. And he's going on and on telling my mother how talented and beautiful your daughter is. And she pulls her hand away. And she was like, well, I would have liked to have had her, stay on film longer and then not end up that way. She got caught up into the character. It was pretty funny. And Clint was gracious. He laughed. He loved it. It was great.
Wow. I mean, I just love that you're in this with Sherry Shattuck and John Terlesky, who went on, he did all the B-movie things as the cop. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He went on to play a bunch of Conan-type characters.
Yes, he did. I haven't seen John in ages. I can't remember the last time I saw him. I did see Sherry at an autograph show not too long ago.
I couldn't find John. I've been working on a 30th anniversary Killer Clowns from Outer Space article, and John had kind of a bounce from 24. Remember, he played the villainous Secret Service agent.
I don't know anything about that.
Wow.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Can't help you there.
No, I wasn't going to bother you for helping. But it was kind of cool to see him get a bounce. They put him on 24, and he got a big bounce from that. I noticed he's corrupt cops all the time now,
Wow.
She's giving me a look like...
Don't ask me about people that...
I wanted the story.
I don't know. Sorry, that'll be my answer. That's my stock answer.
Wow. Well,
movies are funny. You become like a family and close while you're doing it, especially when you're on location. But 9 times out of 10, you never see the people again, unless till the next time, if ever you work with them. I actually have a lot of friends in front of and behind the camera from things I've worked on, but most of the things it's poof.
Wow. But did it help your career that you had the name of one of their biggest casting directors?
No.
Oh, wow.
Not at all, actually. Because in the industry, people never confuse the two of us. It's just the name confuses certain people.
Right.
But I mean, it's really interesting. I think I started to tell you earlier that both of our fathers have the same name too. So Lisa and I didn't meet until I was cast in Dragnet, and she was working in casting on Dragnet.
Wow.
I was cast actually because I met, Josh Donen, the big producer that was one of the heads of Universal at the time.
I think he's Stanley Donen's son, wasn't he?
Yes, and he's from Palm Springs. And I had bumped into him at Helena's, this really cool nightclub. And he said, "Oh, Lisa, we're casting something. You can sing, you can act, I'll bring you in." And he brought me in for the director, which was Tom Mankiewicz. And he made me sing badly, which is hard if you can sing. And he cast me right then and there.
Wow.
And that was an amazing experience working with Dan Aykroyd,
Yeah,
Tom
tell us
Hanks,
about that.
and Christopher Plummer, and Dabney Coleman. It was outrageous. But anyway, that's when I finally met Lisa. And then we hadn't seen each other, and we ran into each other a couple years ago at a Super Bowl party. And I was thrilled to see that she still looked great also and was kicking ass, and it was great. Can I say kicking ass?
You may.
Oh, good.
You can say it again if you wish.
Kicking ass.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I like the way you kick ass.
I do too. We are quite fond of the way you kick ass.
Good. I'm glad.
But I mean, when you look at your stuff, like Private Resorts, it was kind of the post-Porky's, amorous bellboys and waiters movie.
Yes. And that was shooting on location in Florida, and this will be the second time I'm going to be shooting on location in Florida in May. I'm so excited about it. I love shooting there.
Give us a Johnny Depp story.
Oh, I got the best Johnny Depp story.
Wow.
We have a kissing scene, and it was both of our first kissing scene. And we were both nervous and petrified, so we were both chewing gum. So at the end of the scene, the director's yelling, "Cut!" And they're thinking, oh my God, how cute. They're really into each other. It was because we had these big wads of gum, and they were literally stuck. It wasn't romantic at all. It was simply a scientific reason for it. But Johnny's awesome.
Wow. And Rob Morrow.
Rob is one of the most brilliant, fabulous people I've ever met. And his smile is contagious. And he's also a brilliant singer. And so is Johnny. They both are. But
I did not know
They're both
that.
musicians, yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Rob,
Hollywood Vampires.
Phenomenal.
yeah,
Guitar
Rob and
player,
Rob and I hadn't seen each other for a few years. And then we saw each other at Clinton's first inauguration meaning we hadn't seen each other in a few years after we did the movie. And then the last time I saw Rob was, God, ages ago also, but we're friends on Facebook, so we follow each other. I mean, you get confused on virtual reality,
Wow.
But he's awesome. Everyone in that movie was awesome.
It's an interesting movie, and people know it because it used to run on cable all through the 90s.
It's on regular TV all the time, too. That one is one that's always on regular TV, too.
But it was one of those movies that USA Up All Night used to run. You remember that? I mean,
I did a film that actually was made and aired on Rhonda's Up All Night on USA called Legal Briefs.
Yeah, Rhonda's an actress in that. If that's the one about I'm thinking of Weekend.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think she's in it, but we were on her show because it debuted on her show.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's great. And I'm very proud of that film. I play a stripper by night and a law student by day.
Wow, what a combo.
I know.
Got to get through college,
but
man.
But we actually shot a 10-minute scene, Jeff Rose and I, the actor that plays my brother, in one take at 4 o'clock in the morning after shooting like all day and all night long. So I'm very proud of that film.
This is Legal Briefs. Interesting.
Yes.
And we were hoping you'd say a few words about an Easter Bunny puppy.
David Dakota. That's my first David Dakota film.
Wow.
Just heard from him. Hopefully I'm going to be doing another one soon because I love working with that man. He's just pure joy.
Aw.
And his knowledge and love of film is just getting an education when you're around him. And he always casts me with my girlfriends, which is so much fun also. An Easter Bunny puppy, it's precious. And it's very PG. And I actually had the worst case of laryngitis that you could imagine. And David patiently we got through it somehow. And everyone, of course, thinks I just have the sexiest voice. And it's because I could barely speak.
Well, so when your voice is gone, you talk like Demi Moore.
Actually, it was more like this kind of thing, like Marilyn Monroe meets whoever.
Judy Holiday.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And wow. Let's see. Casey Winkler. Wow. Sorry, I was looking at your
Pat, did you ever see Savage Beach?
Donna Spear, Andy Sedaris, and our girl right here.
Yeah.
Wow. What was
Rocky,
it?
my character of Rocky. That was
Man, short shorts and cowboy boots
and hilarious laughter every moment of shooting with Andy Sedaris. That is a man that I think of and miss always. And his background, I don't know if you guys know this, but Andy was Wide World of Sports. He was,
So that was true. I never thought that was true.
Yeah, he helped invent instant replay.
Wow.
Yeah, the slow-mo, the sports slow-mo was supposedly Andy Sedaris.
What do they call it? The honey cam or whatever, showing the
hot girl in the crowd.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have who's the one from Baywatch? The blonde from Baywatch. She was in the honey cam.
Pamela Anderson.
The beer company hired her after a football game where they stopped
No, but Andy was incredible. And of course, shooting in Hawaii, I mean, it was a dream come true.
Wow.
An absolute dream come true.
Wow.
And I ended up doing 2 movies for Andy. I did Guns also with Eric Estrada and Danny Trejo. And that, I think, was Danny Trejo's first major role, I think, was in Guns.
That's right, because he's a convict in Runaway Train.
Yeah.
With like one line.
Yeah.
He's a one line. They eat him in the first 2 minutes of. He dies like a puss at the beginning of Anaconda.
I love it.
I mean, nowadays, and he would have been the hero of Anaconda, but in that movie.
Well, I have a funny story because, of course, these guys are like playing these badass characters, and Danny Trejo and a couple of the crew guys, when we were done filming, I wanted to go to Oahu because we shoot on Molokai because I wanted to see some friends on Oahu because I grew up in Kailua a lot. Wow. And I said, why don't you guys go with me? And there's this amazing thing to do there, and it's called the Toilet Bowl. And you go over this kind of lava hike, and there's this big mossy pit. And what happens is the tide comes in, shoots you up like a fire hydrant, then it pulls out, and you go sliding down. Okay, so that scared them. But okay, then I'm skipping a beat. Before we left Molokai, I said, I have got to see the leper colony. And there's this incredible mule ride that you take, and it's the steepest drop cliff from top to ocean bottom, I think, in the world.
And it's exciting because the mules have leprosy.
Well, the mules are super trained, and I love riding horses or mules. And you should have seen these guys. They were petrified. They wanted to kill me. They're like, Lisa, when are we going to get there? I said, I don't know. I haven't been to the leper colony. I mean, this is a first for me too. And it was a life-changing experience. I'm so glad we did it.
So this is where Father Damien had the leper colony?
Yes, and did you know that most of the patients there or the residents there were children that during World War II were mistakenly diagnosed with leprosy? They only had ringworm, then they got leprosy. They contracted it when they, pretty terrible stuff.
Yeah.
I can't believe no one's made a movie about that.
They made one about Father Damien, starring Ken Howard. Yeah. And after that, I think it was.
But that part of the story is what's interesting to me. How
it's too
the
depressing.
U.S. government messed up. Oops! What a surprise.
Listen, Kami.
I am a socialist.
She's as red as her hair, gents.
I kind of am. I realize it can't work as a premise, a political premise, but there's aspects of it that are much more humane to me than just outright capitalism.
You'll eventually run out of other people's money. Thank you. Wow. But yeah, I think it's too depressing. I mean, once you have kids with ringworm getting leprosy, there's not really a third act.
No, I guess not. Well, we could turn it into a horror film. Can't we turn everything? That seems to be my new genre. I've been doing a lot of those.
Congratulations on that, by the way. You become a scream queen.
You. I am becoming a scream queen.
I just realized Max Wassa was in
Max
Savage Beach too.
Well, Max Wassa was also in Porky's. She's uncredited as the cheerleader.
Oh my
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Wow. But to me, it's interesting. Did you give much thought, especially when you started jumping from genre to genre? Did you give much thought to that, or were you looking for particular movies, or you just went where they hard?
Well, look, as a young actor in those days, now people are getting a lot more savvy. I think social media's helped kids figure out a path and a plan, and they can kind of stylize themselves more because they're so aware of things like that. Mm-hmm. So of course you go where the jobs are. I was so blessed, I still am to this day, that even whether I'm in an A movie or a B movie, I seem to get really great roles. I just do. And I mean, I know that a lot of it is what I bring to it, obviously. I mean, I'm proud of the hard work I put in to present my talent and present what I've got, and I show up. But I really
let's have the bell over
it
there.
is that Clint Eastwood said that to me, actually. But here's the thing: I'm really lucky. I've gotten some great roles, even in kind of the lamer movies or whatever, and then. Even when I do television, I always get something that's really cool. Even commercials, I've gotten to become these huge campaigns that are like with these memorable lines or images. So I've been very, very lucky that way.
But it's like catching a wave, don't you think? I mean,
yes.
when you do a big commercial, it's weird because I've done a lot of normal commercials, and every now and then when you hit a huge commercial, it kind of blows you away in that everyone sees it.
My HBO commercials, it was a campaign to make people watch HBO. And we were on the cover of USA Today business section because it was the biggest successful campaign in history of bringing stocks up and making a company happen. Wow. And Michael Bay directed those. And my hair was
You were a Michael Bay girl.
Well, yeah, I certainly was. My hair was really, really curly in it. And I say, and I don't eat meat because I'm a veterinarian. And it became this.
That was you?
They made pop-up books and posters. And I did 2 years of a campaign and travel with all of the HBO comedians and did live appearances with them. It was pretty amazing.
You also were on Dream On, which Landis did for the.
I was.
Talk about Dream On, woman.
Dream On was fabulous, and it was. This is a funny story that they used to cast way out in Valencia when those were the days where everyone cast right in the heart of Hollywood.
Right,
so to have to go out to Valencia,
past
please,
Magic Mountain, for God's sake.
It's like, oh my God. So I kept getting called out there. I think this was the fourth time. I had said to my agent, forget it. They hate me. I'm not going out again. He said, just go. And that was the one I booked. And it was so great. I played a candy striper, and that was it was really wonderful.
You worked with Landis on that, right? John Landis?
Yeah, he produced it.
Wow.
I know basing on the director, it was a big director that directed it too. Wonderful director. But
A great show from the Critters of Friends, by the way.
Yes, I know. And that, again, ahead of its time and became...
Way ahead.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I know they're huge from Friends, but why Dream On is not as remembered fondly?
I know,
great
because
writing, great
the
direction.
Premise was so brilliant, too. How you go inside his head, and I know.
You go inside his head, and it's the old Universal Library, all these public domain movies.
Oh, it was fabulous. It was fabulous. And I think... mine was a spoof on some Vincent Price thing or something.
House of Wax.
Something like that. But also, I mean, just when I got to do Law and Order SVU and
Victim or Killer,
and I did the.
Or did you find a body?
I was like the next to the last year, and it was the #1 show in the world when I did my episode, which was so fabulous.
So with Mariska Hargitay.
Yes.
You know what?
All my scenes were with Christopher Maloney, though. In fact, my part was pretty intense and fabulous because that was when she had suffered an injury or something, and so they had to kind of scramble and redo things, and it was really intense and hectic and chaotic, just like Chaotic Radio. How'd you like that little plug?
Bravo.
But it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I was so thrilled to make the executive producer, Ted Kotcheff, proud.
Ted Kotcheff, director of Rambo, First Blood, and Weekend at Bernie's, I believe.
And also North Dallas 40, hello.
Oh
my God, that's a
Rambo, baby.
But
Would you ever, 13-year-old boy?
Ted saw me in a play and said, you were wonderful. I'm going to have you on the show. And, people say things to you in Hollywood. I'm like, yeah. And then it came true, and that was just
Ted
really
Kotcheff. Did you meet Dick Wolf as well?
I didn't meet Dick Wolf. No, I didn't.
It was so excited to meet Dick Wolf
Yeah. Oh, he's so amazing. I mean, how many shows can a person have that's a hit? I mean, he's like a machine or something.
But you actually met Kaotic.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know he was in the audience during your play? That would have thrown you off, wouldn't it?
Did I know? I'm trying to think.
I'll bet you didn't.
Well, the fabulous, gracious, beautiful Mimi Leader, one of the best directors in the world, she brought Ted. But I can't remember if I knew Ted was in the audience or not. I usually peeked out. I was a little spy to see who was in the audience, but I can't remember.
Mimi's brother was
Reuben.
Wow, yeah. Reuben was story editor on The Incredible Hulk, and their father, Paul Leader, directed Please Don't Eat My Mother.
Exactly. In fact, when I first met Mimi, she could not believe that I had never worked for her dad. But I got here right after I think he was making movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Because that would have been amazing to do a Paul Leader movie.
I know.
What'd you do with Mimi? Did you work with Mimi in a commercial?
Not yet. Mimi and I have not worked together yet. She's one of my best, dearest friends.
Wow.
And soon. Hopefully soon. It's been one of those things where every time something was supposed to happen, the script wasn't right or whatever. So it'll happen.
She might hold it against you. You worked with Michael Bay, who directed I had a great line for this. Michael Bay, who directed what's that, Bruce Willis, Armageddon, instead of her Meteor movie.
Well, it's still gross. Brilliant female directors still.
She didn't get enough credit. She was one of the first.
But she just did The Leftovers, and that's as good as it can get. And she's got the most amazing film on the planet coming out soon.
Which one is that?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Wow.
And that's all I'm going to say. You'll have to see it. It's going to be outrageous.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at you. Well, tell us more. What's the one movie of yours you're embarrassed by when it hits cable? Everyone has one.
I do not have one.
You don't?
I really don't.
Wow.
I proudly stand by my decisions in life. I can honestly say I have absolutely no regrets.
Wow. You're the one.
Well, no, because this is going to sound crazy. I have done what I wanted to do my entire life. I have worked really, really hard to appear this spoiled, but we
weren't going to say spoiled.
I believe in following your dreams, and where there's a will, there's a way. And I also believe in it's just as easy to smile as to cry. You use the same muscles. You can always change your mind, and we are who we make ourselves to be. I just really believe that there's no excuses for, I should have done this or I should have done that. You can always do it. Just do it. I mean, the Nike slogan works for a reason because it really is that simple. And yes, of course, thank God I've been blessed with great genes. I've been blessed with great support systems around me, but also that's another choice. And the older I get, I also realize you do not have to be around people that don't empower you, that don't bring to the table as much as you do, that see the world as a beautiful place that we should try to improve rather than destroy. That's just, and I'm talking about the world of everything, our planet, our plants, our environment, our oceans, the people you're around. It's just so much easier to be good and positive and to want to go forward than, look backwards and fall down for no reason.
But they do tell you one of the things to live a longer, happier life is avoid toxic people.
Absolutely. My husband has this amazing line. He'll say, "Don't let it get on you." When somebody's being negative or destructive or just, you can really choose a better life every moment.
Wow.
It's up to you.
But it's true. I mean, if you fall into that sort of poisonous, you never get out of it easy. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And that's why I can honestly say I love every film I've ever done. I love every role. I love almost all the people. And the ones that I don't, I thank them for making the ones that are great appear even greater. Because you have the contrast right in front of you.
That's true, actually. You know what I mean? I mean, when you look at your stuff, and like you said, you jump between big and low budget, but it's always been kind of fun, jaunty performances.
Yeah.
Even in the Women in Prison movie, you bring something to it.
Well, that, like I said, that's actually a really good film. It was shocking to see how good it actually was. And that was directed by a German director, Paul Nicholas. And Germany is so close to my heart because my record deal, even though it was an American deal on Columbia, Sony, CBS Records, it was German producers. So
Really?
we worked and recorded and lived in Germany a lot with the pinups.
Wow.
Another thing that was totally ahead of its time. And we were as huge. I mean, we had billboards on Sunset Boulevard. Tower Records only had our poster up at one point.
Wow.
And we had our 15 minutes. Clive Davis predicted we'd be the biggest things since sliced bread. We were actually too ahead of our time. I mean, in lingerie on the Merv Griffin show, before Madonna did it. And we're still pretty big in Europe and Japan and stuff like that. And people that know music remember who we are a lot. And it was so great for me because I'm definitely an actress who can sing, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. But it was an unbelievable experience.
Wow, cool. Interesting. Now, have you thought about doing a book on your experiences?
I will one day. I'm not ready to do that yet.
Oh, you can't burn those bridges yet?
It's not even that because I am such. Well, first of all, I'm a strange paradox because I can keep a secret till the day I die where no one would suspect that I even knew it. But I also say what I feel and what I want directly and honestly 99.9% of the time. So I'm a straight shooter, and I think people know where they are with me, and also I live my life pretty openly, so it wouldn't be some big shock about what I would talk about. But I just don't feel like putting it to pen yet.
Okay, that makes sense.
I will one day.
But your stories are so great, and you're off the cuff. You have no idea what order we're going to throw questions at you. And you have a great story about everything. So do consider doing a book.
I'm blessed with an insane memory. It gets lonely sometimes. But also, like Chris DeVal always says, oh my God, I'm so glad Lisa's around. She's my memory.
Oh. Tell us, you never answered. On Law and Order, were you a killer or a victim?
I'm neither. I'm actually a witness.
Oh, you find a body?
Well, I see something, but because of my prejudices, how brilliantly they're written, more people are hurt or killed because of me. And I realize it. And I was so blessed with the way they shot it because it's basically amazing footage of me because it's a close-up on me almost the whole time.
Wow, nice.
I play an artist, a real quirky artist, in a gorgeous artist loft studio that they built in the studio right in front of my eyes in like 5 minutes.
In L.A. or?
No, this was in New York, which is another thing they never do, too. They never, I know.
That fast
I
in
was
New
cool.
Most of the time it's on New York Street out here.
And if it was on a New York street there, it was one of those psycho freezing days in New York. And I'm like, God, please, please, please let it be indoors. And it was, and they made it in the studio. It was amazing.
They just unloaded it and
they just erected it. It was like just, whoo, there you go.
And it looked like it was there for a long time.
Oh my God. And the wardrobe, everything. It was so great.
Now, what's your trick for memorizing dialogue quickly?
I have an incredible memory. I just memorize it. What's interesting about my memory, though, it goes right out of, like, in one ear, out the other. If you asked me for lines from plays and movies I've done, I could barely remember them. Wow. But memorizing to do it, it's in me immediately because I think it's because I'm becoming that person. That's how I work. So it morphs into the ability to seemingly have a great ability to memorize, which I do, but then it goes away.
Wow. So you're able to retain it when you need it and then dump it when you don't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Directors like that too, huh? When you get it on the first one.
Yes, they do. I'm usually the most fabulous person, one take wonder, but I have a really funny story of some little thing that I did that never came out, but it was the only time ever. And also my college and high school, I worked for CBS Radio. So I really have been a real reporter, a real newscaster.
You weren't joking on that. You did.
No, I really have done this. So wait, but you got to hear this.
Oh, sure, please.
Playing one. I played one in a movie with Superman with Dean Cain called Fire Trap. And that was fabulous. And I had my lines brilliantly, and I had to run through a burning fire and still be the ace reporter, and I was. But I did this little crummy movie, which would be the only thing I'd be embarrassed about. And we shot, my call time was 4 in the morning. No, sorry, 3 in the morning. I got there at 2:30 because, again, it was far away out by Magic Mountain or something. And they didn't get there. They got there an hour late, and then my energy started going. I couldn't remember these. Oh, and then it was supposed to be where I'm looking into a teleprompter, and it was like 8 pages of dialogue. So obviously I'm not going to memorize that when they cast me 2 days before, right? They didn't have a teleprompter. So I kept flubbing the lines, and I oh my God, it was just, you have to laugh. It was like the one and only time in my life, and of course playing something that I've been in real life, so whatever.
Yeah, because when you were on CBS, I think that's when they were still running the CBS Radio Theater, right? Mystery Theater in the 80s.
I don't know about
E.G.
that.
Marshall. You don't remember the E.G. Marshall?
I don't know about that. I did sports casting for them, and then I did a little bit of music coverage. I got to interview Marvin Gaye.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and Bruce Springsteen when I was at college at Arizona State.
You were a Wildcat?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Sun Devil.
Oh, I apologize.
Curse you.
Oh, you were a demon. Oh, wow.
They're our arch rival, yeah. And then in the tennis world, I interviewed every single tennis player you could imagine, including
Andre Agassi.
Yep, Andre Agassi and Elina Stasi and Bjorn Borg and Brad Gilbert.
Brad Gilbert.
Yeah.
That beat
Martina Navratilova.
No, I did all the guys.
Okay.
Sorry.
She did all the guys.
I know,
that's
that sounded bad.
And that's her rise in
That's how she
sports
got the
coverage.
role.
But I was dating Bjorn Borg, and that's how I got such a great
Wow,
scoop.
that's amazing.
We were only like 2 years apart. Remember, he was super young, and I was still in high school.
Wow.
And I actually then did an article on him for Tennis Illustrated.
Biased.
So that was pretty cool.
Sleeping with your subject, I'm not sure that's
know.
by the Hoyle.
And usually I don't do that. I don't sleep with anyone that I'm working with. That was
Did that make Dean Cain cry?
it affected him like kryptonite.
Redheads might be worse than kryptonite.
He's an absolute doll, by the way.
Wow, very cool, very cool. When you do this sort of thing, I mean, when you do these sort of movies where you're jumping from gig to gig, that's got to be fun, right?
Oh my God, it's why I do it. I love becoming these people and gaining empathy for things and learning things that I'd never know anything about. I love the travel. I love the people you meet and the things you see. It's amazing.
Wow. Interesting. And then again, you were born in Santa Monica?
Yes, St. John's Hospital.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
But raised in Palm Springs in Hawaii.
Wow.
Did you, your parents...
Actors or actresses?
Houses in Palm Springs? Is that what you moved out with them? Or?
Yeah. Yes, I was a baby, so yes, I had to be taken. I did not start on my own. No. What were you asking? If they were actors or?
Yeah, were your parents performers?
No. Well, my dad radio, and my mother was a model, but they both loved movies, and I truly became an actor for my love of movies.
Wow.
I didn't start doing theater till way deep into my career.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, but I was lucky enough to actually be in some amazing productions in theater too, and for 5 years I actually produced plays that I would act in, and either my husband or my best friend, Sal Landy, who's a fabulous actor too, and we started a theater group together and had lots of success with some amazing plays, including something called Hell's Kitchen Ablaze that was truly one of the most amazing, critically acclaimed small theater productions in the history of LA.
Was it Black Box? Was it Black Box Theater or?
No, it was called The Actorhood was the name of the company, and we did it at the Pan Andreas Theater, and then it got extended with Dave Fofi at the Elephant Theater, but my husband directed and staged and created the production that became a hit, and his name is Barry Saddles, and he started the Philadelphia Rep Company.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
it's a wonderful life, as they say.
Well, since you went highbrow, it really embarrasses me, but we need to hear about Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood with Adam West.
Oh, my God. Well, first of all, he was such a doll. And Chris Lemmon and I
Jack Lemmon's son.
We became like instant BFFs on this movie. And we were little brats, and every time Adam would walk by, we'd go do 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 Batman, and he was so cool. He never got mad at us. He'd always laugh. He's just a gem of a human being.
Wow, you hung with Adam West, man. You have no idea how much that
amazing.
impresses us.
Yeah, he was great. And Martine Beswick, who was in 2 James Bond movies.
And Prehistoric Women.
And Prehistoric Women with Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
That's
One Lady BC. She's in that too.
Yes. But that movie was so much fun, and I got to work with Richard Deacon.
Oh, wow.
Who was on the Dick Van Dyke show.
Not just that. He was Lumpy's father on Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was Lumpy's dad.
Yeah. That was really, really a great film to do.
Was that amazing then?
Yeah, and that was one of Cannon's bigger ones too.
That's right. You've done several Cannon. Yeah. Okay, I need a story about Cannon's eccentric volcanic head, Menachem Golan.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
she's smiling. There's a story.
Well, yeah, because Menachem was known for being, how shall I put this? He would be tardy paying people. And I'll never forget, they had these beautiful offices on Sunset Boulevard, and I lived at the Sunset Tower at that time.
Oh my God! So you're right down the street,
Right
8730 Sunset Tower. Great.
And, it's a hotel and restaurant now. That's
and a great screening room in there as well.
Oh God, yes,
Oh,
and
man.
a great swimming pool, just incredible swimming pool. Anyway, my check was in the mail for way too long, and my agents were about ready to call SAG. And I said, well, you know what? I've got to go up there anyway because I forgot why. I think I had an audition also in the building or whatever. So I went in there and I said, hi, is Menachem there? And they kept trying to stall me and not let me in. Finally, I just stormed into his office and this was so terrible. I said, Menachem, if you don't pay me, I'm Jewish, but I can see why people say that Jews are stingy. And he looked at me and I thought he was going to kill me.
This is the
throw
guy who
me out.
fought in the 6-Day War.
I know, a badass, but I got my check.
Good girl.
He shot a movie near me, and I got to hang out with him. I knew who he was, and I mentioned all his B movies as a director, and he introduced me to Stallone, and he goes, Sly, come meet this genius boy.
When you think about it, and Cannon Films was
One of a kind.
amazing. It
Yes.
was amazing, and it was the last of the, how shall I say
A dying breed.
A dying breed, because low budget films, you still got paid great money in those
Yes.
days, and it's really difficult now. And it was really great. It was great days.
When you look at, because he's the one, the reason he's universally hated in Hollywood, he's the one who paid Stallone $7 million for a movie. And
and he's the first person that's pre-sold movies at the Cannes Film Festival.
Based on the poster.
Which I was blessed and lucky enough to go to the Cannes Film Festival last May.
Bravo.
I'm in a film called...
I posted that picture.
Thank you.
In a film called...
on the red carpet at Cannes. Yes, you did.
Right.
Yeah. The film is called Do You See Me? It's not out yet, but it's by this wonderful company, Global Genesis, and I love them so much. And one of my best friends, Corbin Timbrook, directed and produced it with them, and it's just a really good little thriller.
Wow.
Really good. And I'm really proud of it. And it got into Cannes and I was there and it was full circle because the only other time I was ever in Cannes was with Hots, my very first film.
You went for Hots?
Yeah.
I love that. You went to Cannes?
It was huge. Hots was like a huge, it was like a blockbuster movie. So
That's hilarious.
that was pretty great, especially in Europe.
Really? But I mean, when you look at it, when you look at your stuff, I mean, you'll see big, little, big, little, big, little. But even your little stuff has run in basic cable,
I know. It's great. And streaming now.
Wow. Oh, that's right.
That's the new word, streaming.
But you know what? I don't know if you've noticed this, but when you have a movie, as much as I love Netflix, when you have a movie on Netflix, the residuals are nothing.
Well, yeah. But the good thing, I have a couple of films on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime's great too because I star in a scary movie called Holy Terror. It's like a new Exorcist.
You know what? I just put that in my Netflix
Oh, it's
queue.
great. You're gonna love it.
I
It's
wish
so
I watched
much
it. I
fun.
didn't
And
know
Christine
you-
DeBelle's in that too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
And that's directed by Rich
Tanaka?
Mallory.
no.
Well, Gregory Hatanaka and Rich Mallory are partners, and Rich did this one, and Greg is the brilliant cinematographer because he
I saw it
shoots
at
so
the Lamb
beautifully.
Land.
Will you shut up and let her finish the story?
But yeah, you're gonna love it. But no, Greg directed me in Samurai Cop 2: Deadly Vengeance, which was a huge hit in theaters and everything, and the premiere was sold out. And that was working with Tommy Wiseau was just hysterical and
Tommy
wonderful.
Wiseau. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And you were the Lorraine Langdon.
Lorene Landon.
She's
yes.
awesome, actually.
Oh, she's such a doll. She's beautiful inside and out.
Wow. Yeah, and you look at her stuff.
And our career is we've like auditioned with each other and been through the whole Hollywood games and transitions together. Yeah, she's great.
She works with one of my favorite directors. She always does a lot of stuff with Larry Cohen, who I brought you on the interview. Well, Larry Cohen's a genius. You know.
Well, Larry Cohen hasn't cast me, so I can't say that yet.
He should.
I will not sit here and hear you talk smack on Larry Cohen.
I'm not because I don't know.
He's very cool, though.
Well, I'm sure he is.
Well, if you need a redhead as besides a blonde, Larry, we can. We're about to go to commercial, I think, in 2 minutes, even though, okay, 1 minute. What, is that 1 minute, Dutchie, or? Oh, maybe he didn't see us. He's holding up
Is
a
that
one.
sign language?
Usually it's with his middle finger.
He puts 2 minutes to break.
Usually we get a 2 minutes to break. Dan the man, are we close to break, or?
We can't hear you.
He
Use the
said you have
microphone.
about 3 minutes. I have really good hearing.
Wow, you because he sure as hell wasn't using his mic or his earphones.
No, he wasn't.
Wow, you are a radio girl.
I am a radio girl.
She's done everything but get us coffee, which we're going to practice in a minute.
Oh, no, we're not.
Oh, no.
I get served. I don't serve.
How dare you? That's the Palm Springs part of our bloodline.
Yes, it is.
Interesting. So when your dad was doing the sports thing, would you hang out with him in the booth? Would you?
Always.
Wow.
Always from when he would do everything from high school and college football to the Bob Hope Classic for 20 years.
Did you meet Bob Hope?
It's a lot of experience.
I did. I was a Bob Hope Classic girl.
Really?
I was classic.
Well, did Bob Hope realize this?
Did he realize that I was my father's daughter when I was cast? No, I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so. I think I told him, later
Did he
when
hit
we were
on you?
doing interviews. He flirted.
Okay. The Bob Hope stories are amazing.
I know he was a character. My dad used to write a lot of his jokes, and my mother used to get so angry that he wasn't paid for them.
Oh yeah. Well, Bob Hope would never. Yeah, he would still.
He was very stingy. They say Jack Benny was, but it was Bob Hope that was.
Bob Hope, at one of his gigs, kind of a famous, horrible Hollywood story is, he called every one of his big writers,
Right.
and like in the middle of the night, and said, "Guys, I just need 5 jokes. I need 5 jokes. I'm doing this one thing. And, I got to warm up the audience." And so he called up all of them, got 5 jokes each, and had an entire set stolen from all these.
for that. Yeah.
And the
Bad boy.
And the stuff with the showgirls, Jonathan Winters told me like 2 stories that made my skin crawl.
Wow.
And I mean, it's like, I'm looking and I'm going, "You're talking about Bob Hope? And he goes, "And girl Dolores is out in Palm Springs raking rocks."
Oh my gosh.
So it was kind of shocking. Oh man. All right, so it's like a minute and a half to break, and then we'll put on some commercials, and we'll come back with round 2.
Awesome.
Lisa London taking us around the world of her amazing career. Thank you so much.
Now for our commercial sponsors.
Oh yeah, and until the breaks begin, we want to thank Jamal at New York Bagel.
And Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange.
Oh yes. Thank you both of you for your continued patronage.
Return.
We love you, and we will talk to you in a minute. Let's see. I'm waiting for our board op to tell us when. You'll hear the commercial when they start. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Break.
Break. Do you have, is that like a wiping? There she goes again, racing through my brain, and I just can't contain this feeling that remains. There
We gentlemanly averted their eyes. There we go.
What?
We gentlemen.
There's bad radio, good radio, and chaotic radio. In that order.
There she goes. There she goes again. Racing through my brain. And I just can't contain this feeling every day so. There she goes again. Racing through my brain.
Welcome back.
Sort of. I just realized Lisa London is a Sixpence None the Richer fan because she's been mouthing the words since it began twice.
I love this song.
From the Something About Mary soundtrack, by the way, by Peter Farrelly.
It's just a great song.
Isn't it? It's like what college radio is based on. Okay, cool. We are back.
We are back with the lovely
charming,
Lisa
loquacious.
London.
Lovely, charming,
Actress,
loquacious
model,
Lisa London.
Redhead extraordinaire.
And, by the way...
What's that saying?
And
Actress,
she's-
model, whatever?
Model, actress, whatever. Yeah, Ma. What did they say? There's an evil line in LA Confidential where they're getting off of the bus every 20 minutes.
She also has a very sweet brain. Yes. Very sweet, very intelligent. She's
so
very smart.
Thrilled you noticed that.
I did. Your loquacious brain has impressed us totally.
Yes.
And you know what else will impress us? Being directed by Prince in a video for Morris Day at the time.
It was my first music video.
Wow. Spill the
And
beans, baby. Let's hear
It's
about
a
it.
song called Ice Cream Castles, and it's probably one of the most delicious, beautiful videos ever. And when I first got cast, I thought, oh, music video, I'm quote unquote the babe,
Right.
singular, in the video.
Oh, no.
I get to set, and there's 11 principal girls. And I'm like,
There goes your money, by the way. There goes the base.
actually, no. That's when you actually got paid SAG wages for music videos, which you do not anymore.
And Prince looked at all 11 of you as a craft service table.
Well, it was the most gorgeous wardrobe because it was supposed to be just this absolute fantasy of literally like fairy princesses. And I was in an emerald green chiffon dress that looked like everything looked edible. You know, it looked like
Oh my
Easter
God.
candies.
I'm
and
sure it did, the Prince.
It was so beautiful. And I was thoroughly disgusted and upset that I, obviously wasn't going to be the principal in this thing. So I'm off just doing my thing, singing the song, full voice, and dancing. And of course, they zoom in on me, and I'm like the star of the friggin' video.
By the way, nicely
Taught
done.
me a lesson.
Yeah.
Always be aware of that camera,
Lisa
even
London,
no
Queen of
matter how
MTV.
far away it is.
What? No, was that your only video? Talk about some of the
No,
other-
I did gazillions of videos. Let's see. Some of my favorites were Quiet Riot and Wang Chung.
Whoa. Which one for Quiet Riot?
Party All Night.
Wow. Did you really work with Quiet
Yeah,
Riot?
they were great. They were great.
I just met. I was on an effects gig, and one of the guys at the lab had done the Quiet Riot mask, the metal
Oh,
mask,
yes,
when he
of
was like
course.
20 years old in art school.
Wow.
You know?
That's a cool story. That's a good story. Yeah, this was so much fun because I had to play this groupie madly in love with the lead singer, and they
Did he
had
insist on audition times on a Friday night?
yeah, exactly. They had and they went nuts. They went into overtime. I think I got like quadruple overtime for this thing. But the crazy thing was it was about 120 degrees in the studio, and we had to dance literally all night long. That was the scene of, dancing and throwing myself at the stage and blah, blah, blah. And they had me in a top that was made of metal, leather, sterling silver. There was gold, real gold studs in it. It was the coolest costume ever. It beat Madonna. It was way better than her stuff.
But Lisa, let me ask, was your Wang Chung video directed by William Friedkin? I know he does a lot for them.
Who directed that one? God.
The director of The Exorcist.
You know what I remember the most about that? Jose Ibert did my hair because it was the most wild. It was the most wild hairdo you've ever seen in your life, and I played the sax in it, and I'm spinning on a record. It was so wonderful.
What video?
Yeah. That one was called, oh God, it was their second hit. I'm spacing on the name of that song.
Dancehall Days?
Was it that one?
It was the second hit. The first it was
Wang Chung. Yeah.
Everybody.
It was their second one. God, I'm spacing on the name of it.
We will find it. I love Wang Chung, actually.
It's great. It's really great.
Because the guy from Wang Chung went on to do all the music since To Live and Die in L.A. He's done all the music for William Friedkin movies.
Yes.
So Friedkin usually does their videos. And I was wondering if you'd worked with him on that, you know?
Probably.
Intense guy with glasses, aviator glasses.
I can't remember, really.
Wow. Still, it's amazing that you're in a Wang Chung video.
I know. It was
you
great.
were with Morris Day in the friggin' time. How were they?
They were fabulous. So talented. Crazy talented. All those dance moves, they literally like make them up as they go and then just fall into sync and do it perfectly.
So, well, I mean, was these all shot in one day?
All the rock videos, yes, but it's usually psycho long days.
Yeah,
and recently, a few years ago, I did a Blink 182 video.
Which one?
I'm spacing on the name of that song, but I shot on Melrose and I play like a girl sipping a soda with my hair in a ponytail.
Wow, all the small things?
Yes, all the small things. Yes.
Wow, great video.
And then I just did one last year, a Mary J. Blige video for a song that's supposed to be an Empire. And I don't know what's happening with that because they never told us and I haven't seen it, but I don't watch stuff where I'd see, like I don't watch MTV anymore or anything like that.
Nobody does, unfortunately.
But that was really cool because they used a drone camera indoors.
Seriously?
In an old theater. Yeah.
Oh my God. Did you shoot at the Orpheum?
No, I love the Orpheum, but this is the other one. This is the one on Broadway.
That's the Orpheum?
No. Mm-mm. It's not the Orpheum. It's something else, and it's...
Not 7th and Broadway?
It's Broadway and... Oh, I can't remember. It was so beautiful.
The $1 Million Theater, the one from Blade Runner?
Yes.
Wow.
That one. Yes.
Wow,
it was great.
Wow.
It was cool.
My God. What Lisa's referring to is all the old downtown theaters.
They're so great.
The architecture. I mean, they're endangered species.
They're gems.
They're beautiful.
No, the Orpheum is like my favorite thing.
The
ever.
Knee Plus Ultra, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best downtown theater.
It's gorgeous.
Wow. Now tell us, when you were jumping through, did you ever have a desire to direct when you were doing all this stuff?
Wow. Never. I would.
You weren't kidding about Pampered then.
I would give line readings. I would be mean to the actors. I'd be a terrible director, but I'm a great producer. Wow. I am fabulous at putting it all together. I love putting it all together, overseeing it, and telling people what to do.
Wow.
It's that firstborn trait, I think.
And any of your siblings, did they go into entertainment or no?
Nope, none of them did.
Wow.
None of them did. But they're all extremely creative and brilliant and gorgeous and incredible. And I love my family, obviously, so much.
Yeah, you were telling about seeing them over over the Passover and Easter weekend.
Yes.
Wow. Very nice. Yeah. And the interesting thing is you've jumped between videos, commercials, and movies. Do you have a preference?
None. I love it all. I love every bit of it. Everything feeds me in some creative form or another. I love anything that has to do with art at all shapes, forms, genres.
Amazing. You know what I mean? I mean, when you're working on something like, we'll say HOTS, I mean, when we go back to your very first credit, was that just exciting the first time you were on a movie set?
There truly is nothing like that feeling. Wow. Nothing. For me, anyway, because I tell people, if young people asking for advice, if you don't want to be an actress more than life itself, don't do it, or an actor. If you don't need it like air to breathe, forget it, because that to me is the only reason to do something that's such a it's such a beautiful, incredible ride, but there are no certainties, no guarantees, and you can't do it to to be famous or to be even a working actor. You got to do it because you love the journey and the process of becoming and being an actor.
Wow. You know, and what did you study? Who'd you study with?
I studied, I study, quote unquote, all the time. I think you have to use your muscles. So I still go to Sal Landy's cold reading class. But David Proval was an amazing coach and mentor. He played Richie on The Sopranos and was in Mean Streets, by the way. He's an incredible actor.
Scorsese's very first movie.
But he's also he's the most perfect teacher for me because he teaches through nothing but positive reinforcement and love and belief, and it was just incredible. And then Robert Carnegie and Glenn Vincent at Playhouse West.
Wow.
And Jeff Goldblum and Paul Sorvino were guest teachers of mine there while I was there, which was great. Let's see, what else? There's been a few others along the way, but those are the ones that really made an impact on my life.
Interesting. And do you have a technique? Are you a Meisner girl?
I'm a Meisner girl,
I
baby.
figured.
I need an activity, and I work off the other person.
Wow. That's really impressive, actually.
I did kind of just sum that up, didn't I?
You did beautifully, eloquently. And one of the reasons you're a good guest, I think because of your radio background, you're really able to be concise and clever on a few things. You can make your point really fast and really clearly.
And also, I don't just nod yes or no, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. We have had guests who do the nodding you were mentioning, or we have you blah, blah, blah. Remember that? We have a couple people, I will not name them, shake their head no. We had one guest who laughed so hard her tooth fell out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was...
There's really not much else to say about that.
No, we couldn't really. We're watching her scramble for her tooth.
That was hilarious. And we have the Mad Magazine with Alfred E. Newman
in the lobby, which she was looking
holding
at.
this Mad Magazine, and then
Oh my gosh.
She looked just like-
Life imitates art,
Yes.
as they say.
so we'll just have to let everybody they'll have to dig that interview out and find
Yeah,
out
exactly.
who it is.
Let's talk about Blood Ranch. Your ex.
That was my first, I guess, scary slasher movie, and the first time I ever worked with Corbin Timbrook, who's like one of my best friends also. And that was, those were the days of renting videos, like the tail end.
Right.
It was probably like the last year people actually rented videos.
The big Hollywood video thing where
it debuted. This was a little low budget film, and it debuted at number 10 on the Blockbuster list. Wow. So that's the power of a title and a cover too, because I don't think Jimmy Fitzpatrick's in it, but I think that's and me. There weren't any like psycho big stars in it, but it's really well done and just scary as hell. And we shot that on this weird ranch way out in Palmdale. It was snowing. And it
wasn't the
snowing.
Spawn Ranch, was it?
Well, my scenes were actually shot at a gas station, and I play my character. You think I'm the most heartless biatch on the planet, but then you realize the reason I'm doing this is because my kid was kidnapped. So I had a motive for my evilness.
She's a biatch with a reason.
Yes, exactly.
Unlike most of them in Los
Exactly.
Angeles.
But yeah, that was very cool.
You did the Godson with Rodney Dangerfield, Lou Ferrigno, and Barbara Crampton. Talk about that.
Oh, that was heaven. I got called in on that because one of my best friends is the fabulous casting director, and now he's directing too, Craig Campobasso.
Smart girl, by the way. She remembers the name of our casting director.
I remember the name of everyone that I love.
Wow.
And Craig called me in, and he was so thrilled after my audition. I till this day, because I've done so many of his movies, but he was so excited about this one because it was, opposite iconic comedy geniuses.
Dangerfield, for God's sake.
Dangerfield and Dom DeLuise.
Oh, that's right.
I had a bunch of scenes with him and Kevin McDonald.
How were they, by the way? Talk about them.
Oh, God. They're family, and working with Rodney Dangerfield. He was very ill by then, and
was he having trouble? I heard he was having trouble with lines and stuff.
Well, he was really cantankerous to most people, and it was rough. But he was absolutely delightful to me and with me, and our scene is hysterical. And we did the lines, and then we improv'd and that's in there. Everything's in there. Everything I could have imagined working with Rodney Dangerfield is in there.
Wow. The weird thing, I saw him at Cantor's, and the weird thing about him is he looked much, much older than he did on screen. Have you noticed that?
He always did.
Yeah,
he
I mean,
always did.
because I'm thinking, oh my God, that's Rodney? You know what I mean? I mean, as someone who loved Back to School and stuff, I was shocked.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow, and so
I love that you said Back to School, because another one of my best friends, Leslie Scarborough, she has a scene in Back to School.
she's one of the girls at the
She's the girl in the shower.
He's trying to explain what she's doing.
And she's we met on the set of The Naked Cage. She was in The Naked Cage.
I love that you can talk about Naked Cage.
And then I got her probably one of her biggest roles in a film that I star in, that I got the part because my best girlfriend and co-star from Hots, who's passed away since then,
Angela Ames.
Pamela Bryant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Pamela Bryant was up for 2 films and she booked one. And then she said, Lisa, you go in on my part. So the casting director was Jacob Bressler, who's
again.
He then became my manager, and he's the one that cast me in a film that I co-starred in Mexico about a year and a half ago. It's not out yet. It's called 8 Days Carlo, and I play an ice queen bitch in that. And that's fun. It's a really
love doing the bitch stuff.
But anyway, back to
Yeah,
War, Women Against Rape
with Frank Stallone.
Frank Stallone,
Also known as, it has like 2 titles because it used to run on USA Up
I
All
forgot
Night.
what the other one is called. But anyway, it was Frank Stallone, Jerry Van Dyke, and Don Swayze. And Leslie and I used to call it the brother movie.
Yeah, it's the brothers of all these famous guys.
But I worked with Dick Van Dyke too in a movie of the week. So
which one? MW?
It was called Daughters of Privilege.
Wow, how is he, by the way? I've heard
fabulous. And I play a chain smoking lady of the night hooker who gets arrested with Dick Van Dyke's character.
I was going to say
in the slammer.
Wow. I
don't smoke, so he was so wonderful because he was so worried about me. You know, like make sure she has water, make sure she has water. But I pulled it off. I look like a smoker.
Wow, and I mean, I was hoping you weren't playing a hooker for Dick Van Dyke because that would be too terrible.
Well, that was the plot twist, that you think that yes, and the daughters are like, Daddy, how could you? But it's not true. And actually, I'm very smart too. I'm a very smart hooker.
Smart? Well, that means you're a call girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how was Van Dyke?
Both Van Dykes were a dream to work with. Both brilliant actors in their own right.
How long did you hang out with Don Swayze and Frank Stallone before you realized their brothers were never coming by?
Well, I had already been in class with Patrick for years.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew Patrick already, and I had already worked with Dick too. No, that came later. Yeah, first I worked with Jerry, then I worked with Dick.
Did you walk on set, see Don Swayze spit your coffee and say, that's the wrong one?
No, I did not. But Jerry was such a good sport because I actually brand him.
Really?
On the derriere in this movie.
Wow, with the recently, wow. Good
and also
though.
Terry Moore and Jack Carter played my father, and Terry Moore plays this...
Buddy Joe Young.
She plays this woman, yes, exactly, that starts this center for women who have been raped to start to heal. So.
Wow, yeah, she was Howard Hughes' mistress for a long time. Wow,
and she's still gorgeous.
Did she ever talk about that, or?
She did a little with us, yes.
She made the cover of Playboy in her 50s. I do remember that.
I know. She was pretty something else. Yeah.
Wow.
Still is. Yeah, she's still kicking. She was just on that show with Matthew McConaughey and, the one they changed actors. But
the True Crime.
You got it.
Wow. And I auditioned for her for a horror commercial they never finished making.
She's amazing.
What's interesting is she was also, this will impress you, Mr. Adam West fan, she was also one of the only actresses to star in 3 consecutive episodes of Batman.
So she had a recurring role.
Yeah, well, yeah. She was a Joker in Penguin's Mall, so she was in all 3 episodes.
Very, very cool trivia there.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Thank you, Julie. Wow, but your radio voice is awesome, by the way.
Thank you. It should be.
Wow. She's genetically predisposed to being a great radio voice, you guys. So.
Yes, I love doing radio.
Wow.
I did a radio show too when I first moved to Hollywood called The Young Marquis and Stanley on K-Rock.
I know exactly.
I did a million
remember the
voices
By the way,
on there.
Young Marquis and Stanley, when I first moved to California.
Again, ahead of its time and an
Yes.
iconic thing. Everything I touch turns to gold. What can I
Yeah,
tell you?
listen.
Chaotic radio is destined for something. I don't know what yet.
Young Marquis and Stanley was the first radio show I heard when we moved to Southern California when I was a kid in the 80s.
That is cool.
You had the Go-Go's and Adam West on an episode.
And when I had my own record deal, Rodney Bingenheimer really pushed the pinups. And also
Was he bummed when he heard you were over 18?
Yeah, exactly. And especially with these freckles, I always look 2 decades younger than my
You look
real
like Pippi
age.
Longstocking.
I know.
Rodney would have been all
It's
over
crazy.
that.
Okay, so then at one point I actually recorded a Christmas rap album, like right when Blondie had already done
Yeah,
it. But
Rapture.
I was probably the only other white chick to do a rap record for years, seriously.
Wow.
And it was Oingo Boingo. Their horn players played on it, and Danny Elfman put it together, and it was a regional hit record. And it was so cool. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. It was just,
Bravo.
it was like, it was so cool. And I don't have a copy of it because
Wow.
somehow we had a fire when I had this house, and a flood rather when I had this house in Pacific Palisades, and all my vinyl was warped.
Remember
and that
you
was
built-
all I had of it.
Remember you built on that Indian graveyard.
Was
They
it,
told you not to.
were these singles on colored vinyl?
It was on a compilation.
Oh, it was on the
thing.
compilation.
Yeah.
Who were the Young Marquis and Stanley? Were they famous K-Rock guys? Or?
I can't believe that I forgot their names.
Ouch. Wow.
Marquis
know.
with that crazy. I never really saw what he looked
And
like.
I've always wondered what happened to them because they were so creative. I would love to
It was
work
a
with them
brilliant
again.
show. It was the first thing I heard in California
They
radio.
actually also hired me about a year after we did the radio show to do this video pitch, all in black and white, where they made me look like a 50s gangsters mall. It
Wow.
was so well done, that too. Yeah, I wonder what happened to them. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, because the first thing I heard in California was them and obviously you had to be there too because there were female voices in the
Yeah.
episode. But
I
Adam
got
West-
that because of Chris DeBell. She, they loved her, but they said, we need a new voice now. We'll use you too, but we need someone new. And she turned me on to them, and they hired me.
Wow. And you did a bunch of them.
I did it for a couple years.
It was a great show. It was a great show. You know, and the love they had for Adam West.
I played Evil Beach Witch. I mean, it was so much fun. I got to do so many things.
And another time I played a little girl, and she couldn't remember anything.
Hey, Jeff and I aren't creeps, but could you do that voice for the rest of the episode? Wow.
Hey, hashtag not me too.
Gulp.
You could be doing. Do you like doing? What about video voicings on video games?
I love all of that stuff. And, you know, it's funny. To be a voiceover artist, though, it's a whole other career, and you need tapes and all this stuff. And when I had the HBO commercials running, a lot of people would call me, and I would book voiceovers. And also, I did a lot of dubbing. I was Ornella Muti's voice for
Ornella
years.
Muti
Yes.
from Flash Gordon.
You got it for years.
And
I did that.
Oscar.
I love doing it. I just have not put the time into making that yet another offspring of my career.
Did you dub her in movies?
Yeah.
Did you dub her
years.
in Oscar? Because that would have been Landis who did your.
I did it
Dream On.
early 80s for like 3 years.
Are you her voice in Flash Gordon?
I don't know what they were. They would just have me come in, and as a young artist then, it was just really good money, and I got to go in without, putting hair and makeup, just go in my jeans and record the voices. So I don't remember what they were.
It's so weird, like when you watch Barbarella and the Black Queen's voice. If you see her in anything else, performance or anything, she has this terrible Cockney accent. But they had this black Italian opera singer do her
That's
voice
funny.
in Barbarella.
That is funny.
And I mean, her voice does not match the sound of her voice in Barbarella. She never lives up to that performance because it's a black Italian woman doing an amazing job.
Well, I just did a really cool gig where they had me. I basically was dubbing the movie, right? But a lot of it I had to speak in Russian.
Really?
Yes.
Tell us more.
It was just really wonderful. I hope I get to do something like that again.
You floored me with young Marquand Stanley. I cannot believe you are one of the voices on that amazing.
Oh, yeah, lots of voices.
Wow, K-Rock, man.
And I
K-Rock
loved
and its
it.
fun.
They were insane. They were fun to listen
It
to.
was really insane, and I loved it.
Wow. Well, speaking of insane and loved it, talk about Extra 3. Keep watching the skies.
Extra.
That was another. This is a great story too, because I had 2 reasons to want to be in this. Again, Craig Campobasso pulled me in on the audition, and one of my best friends that I went on to do all these plays and movies with, Sal Landy, was already cast in the lead, and it was to play a Marilyn Monroe character for newsreel footage of the 50s, and. So I went in there styling my hair like Marilyn, and I'm often compared to her because, except for the hair color, like there's a lot about my face and body, I guess, that's like her, whatever. So I booked it, and I couldn't believe I booked it because when for the callback, there was nothing but Marilyn Monroe lookalikes there and me. And I'm like, oh God, I'm not that. Right? But then it was hysterical. Somehow the memo wasn't given from the director and the producers to the hair and makeup person. The wig they had me in, the platinum wig, was long blonde hair past my butt. And I'm like, that's Marilyn Monroe's never had it. So they changed it to Jane Mansfield.
Wow! By the way, the poor man's Marilyn Monroe, but made better movies than Marilyn Monroe.
Exactly.
I mean, girl can't help it.
Exactly. Yeah. I know.
Wow.
And then I
always thought she was sexier than Marilyn Monroe.
They were both pretty fabulous.
And you did her daughter's show when you did Law and Order
Mariska.
SVU.
And then I've met Mariska quite a few times at Ted Kotcheff's house at different parties.
You hung with Ted Kotcheff after?
Yes,
wow.
I'm so lucky. He's so incredible. Do you know that he just wrote a fabulous autobiography? He writes poetry. He's looking for his next directing project. He's just the coolest human ever.
You know what? After the show, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about Kotcheff. He's one of those guys who just... When you look at,
he's special.
First Blood all the way to Weekend at Bernie's, and he's the dad in Weekend at Bernie's.
He's got incredible kids that I've known since they were little, and the daughter Alexandra, who just got married to a fabulous guy too, but he, who's also a director, and she's a director, and she's doing this amazing thing with Mimi Leader's daughter Hannah. Wow. So Hannah and Alexandra are doing this project. They wanted to do this just as an experiment where there's no one in the film except them and one other actor, and there's no crew at all.
Really?
They do everything.
So
it's taking them years to do it, and they're shooting it out in Salton Sea.
Oh my God.
I know, but
this sounds insane.
I don't think I've ever been more excited and eager to help fund something for young filmmakers, because they did, this project where everybody donated some money at one point. And I think it's going to be something really weirdly brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're going to be half right regardless.
I think I'm going to be whole right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that you're still hanging with Ted Kotcheff. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible.
But he's one of those guys. Seriously, guys, go to Ted Kotcheff's IMDb, and each movie is wildly different from the one before.
Right, and the awards he's won are so bizarre all over the world and stuff. He's just an amazing human being.
He's like John Borman in that he does stuff totally unlike the stuff he did before.
Yes.
He doesn't get in a groove or ride out a trend or something.
Exactly.
Wow. And then when you were at K-Rock, was that when they were in Pasadena? And if so, tell me about
what Los Robles, the 2-story building.
Yes.
Tell us about that. What did K-Rock look like in the...
It was your typical radio station and nothing unusual.
Me and my photographer friend Tom would go hang out at Rodney's show. We were friends with his engineer and stuff, and we'd knock in there and he'd let us in, hang out. And then my friend, 35 millimeter pictures, had always taken pictures of Rodney and his guests.
I love it.
Yeah. I dug that place.
It was an amazing era of radio. Definitely.
Wow. Well, again, K-Rock at the height of its powers. That's really, really, really impressive.
I know. I forgot I did that too.
Well, I'm so glad you brought it up because that blows me away. That's not even on your IMDb.
I know. It should be on my IMDb.
It should totally be under special or trivia.
Are you listening out there, you little spies? Because they find everything.
Wow. Well, the other stuff you did on The Godson, did you have any scenes with Lou Ferrigno?
No. My scenes were with Kevin, Dom, and mainly Rodney.
Wow. And how about Barbara Crampton? Nothing with her?
She's a doll. A few years later, I did an infomercial for a fitness product with
Really?
Barbara. Yeah.
And infomercials are hilarious. They've got the audience members jacked out on coffee. They've got the strongest coffee. They're serving them coffee and donuts, and they have what they call spotters.
Well, it's the weirdest thing on the planet to shoot. I've only done 2 of them. I did that, and then I did another exercise equipment thing where I had to be working out, demonstrating.
Oh, so you're a
it
fitness model
for,
as well.
Yes,
Wow.
for 3 days, and it was so cool because it was right around Christmas time, and I was getting ready to go to England, and I know I was going to eat like a pig. So I was so skinny when I got on that plane that I had carte blanche to do anything.
Wow. But I love the funny thing about those is they have something called spotters, and especially in the 80s and 90s infomercials.
They still do.
Yeah,
I haven't done one in years, but I'm sure they still do. I mean, that's a format; it never changes, and it's like this. Everything is like this,
up.
and it's the same all the time. Oh my god, it's so crazy.
They have the spotter. The spotter looks for any audience member who looks logy.
Yes.
Get rid of them.
Yes.
They'll grab some woman
Exactly.
who yawns and her ass is in the parking lot because she knows what happened.
I know. That's definitely something that actors do for money. Yeah. And money only.
Nobody ever does an infomercial out of love.
I don't think so. Or to think they're getting some good footage on themselves. No, I don't think so.
I know. I adore Erin Gray so much. I used to watch her infomercial when they would run it.
That's sad. Don't admit that to anyone else.
I told her she wasn't flattered. She did the forward to my book because of that.
That's funny. That's funny.
Wow. So, looking at your stuff, I mean, just you've said 5 things that I had no idea. I had no idea. Talk about Prey of the Chameleon, but I had no idea you did a video where Prince directed you.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
What was directorial advice from Prince like? What notes did he give you?
He basically had his vision so in place that he would just position people and walk away. He really, because there was no dialogue, so he literally just let you do your thing. And it's a serious treat. Google it, try to find it, and look at it. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
It really is.
I keep thinking the quote when Graffiti Bridge bombed. Prince got mad and says, "Why is everyone saying I failed? It wasn't my money." I thought, wow, Warner Brothers will be happy to hear that.
I love it.
Now talk about Prey for the Chameleon.
Well, that April and Bruce Jones were April Campbell and Bruce Jones.
The comic book writer, Bruce Jones? Wow.
Yes, brilliant
Great
comic
run
book
at
writer
home.
and
Yeah.
artist. And
Oh, yeah.
she is a brilliant artist and brilliant writer. She wrote Prey of the Chameleon.
Oh, did she really?
Yes. And she called me in on the audition. And
I thought it was cool. Sci-fi runs it every now and then.
And also I got Black Moon Rising because of April too. April worked on that as well.
Really?
Yeah. And Prey of the Chameleon was so much fun because I got to play a bank teller who was getting held up, and it was great.
Oh, you're in it with...
And I'm actually what am I? I'm an associate producer on that.
Wow.
Because somehow I was involved in getting to the initial seed money or something.
Oh, your name brought
Excuse
people
me.
in.
Yes.
Wow,
Guess
look at
so.
you. Wasn't it- That's kind of exciting. Lisa London's a name, you know what I mean? I mean,
Exactly.
And it's like under redhead.
by the way, we're an hour and 35 minutes in and she finally cracked her water. That's a new record. Usually
They call me a snake. I
Wow.
don't drink very much water.
Wow. Her tongue comes out to check the air every couple minutes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. So that's why it was so comic bookish. Bruce Jones worked on it.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. And you're in that with Red West, who was this actor stuntman who did a ton of stuff. Mm-hmm. Interesting. You know, Red West, he goes all the way back to the Elvis movies, but he's like this old school stuntman. I'm working on something where every 3rd episode, the bad guy is Red West. You know
That's
what I mean?
funny.
It's a hell of an IMDb for him, you know. But this is really exciting. When you were doing videos and stuff, you were still in Hollywood. How long have you been in Hollywood?
I've always been based out of Hollywood. I came here at 19 years old. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Germany. I've shot in Florida. I've shot in Mexico. I've shot in Poland. I've shot in
Yeah, you-
France.
Wow.
But-
World traveler.
Yeah, but I've always been based out of Los Angeles.
Now you have a big commercial running in Poland right now. You want to talk about Poland?
It's actually running here. It's running internationally.
Well, say more about it, woman.
It's an awareness campaign to get people to get tested for Hep C, and it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. It was 5-star, first class, every step of the way, directed by a brilliant director named Elma Garcia, and I'm just honored to be in this thing. They shot it like a film. In fact, they did a making of, because it looks like a beautiful documentary about health and travel and everything else you can think of in life. It's just gorgeous.
Wow. That's exciting. How long
And
were
it's
you?
a big print campaign too. There's like billboards and
Was
magazine
it
stuff
about 15
everywhere.
minutes or what?
No. It's a commercial.
Oh, it's within
It's
a
commercial format. Yeah.
minute?
Yeah. But it's people will say, "Oh my God, I saw that! I didn't know what that was. It was so beautiful." And the music, it's beautifully done, and it's an important thing because I mean, I didn't even know that anyone could have Hep C, and you wouldn't know it unless you had a blood test.
And
That's
now they
why-
got all those cures for it now. I see those
Exactly,
commercials.
and that's why I was
the
proud.
medicine to
I
break
won't.
through.
It's funny because I never wanted to be one of those actors that started doing drug commercials, but an awareness campaign about health, to know that by taking one drug you could live as opposed to die, is a pretty cool thing to make people aware of.
Wow, that's amazing. You know,
Yeah.
but that's exciting too, because when you look at, you're doing that internationally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we shot in Poland, Slovakia, the tops of the Tatra Mountains, which was so amazing, and stayed in Warsaw, but traveled all through Poland and Czech Republic, and it was just an experience of a lifetime. It was glorious.
Wow. I mean, when the type of stuff you did, I'm just looking at your IMDb and I'm blown away by it. You know, I mean,
Patrick, do you remember Amazing Stories?
yeah.
I did
1987.
2 of them.
Now,
Let's hear about that.
Are you in the one with Robert Town as the writer?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's the one where the plant is dictating shows to him.
Yes.
Wow. What
I
was
was
the
in
other one?
I was in 2 of those because Craig Campabassa was working with Joanna Ray, and they brought me in on one, and then I think they just. No, I think I did audition for both of them, but one of them, Burt Reynolds directed me.
You're in Guilt Trip with Dom DeLuise.
You got it.
And Lonnie Anderson.
And I have a fabulous scene with Dom DeLuise. It's so
Are you
funny.
on the cruise ship?
I am at a bar with him. I think we are supposed to be on a ship. I can't remember because we shot it on the studio lot. And then the other one is the one with Robert Town, and Nick Castle directed that. Another
Nick Castle.
director.
By the way, Nick Castle is not only a great director, he was the original Michael Myers, a role he's reprising this Halloween.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's Michael Myers in Halloween, and because his dad was a dancer, I did an onstage interview him for.
Wow.
His dad was a dancer, so when he did Halloween, he kind of glides into the frame all through Halloween.
Wow.
And when they did all the sequels, it was just a stuntman going, "Rah," you know what I mean? And it lost that whole.
Wait, how'd they
gliding.
go? I'll explain this to your radio audience. Do that again.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
showing his shoulders moving. His arms are a little
Stomping
stiff.
my feet like a stuntman in a monster costume. I didn't realize I did that. Thank you for making me feel like an a-hole on my own show.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Wow, you're adorable. The Marilyn Monroe squeak we've been waiting for. That's
I
not
do
Jane
squeak.
Mansfield.
I had the nickname of Little Squeak for a while. Yep, I admit
When
it.
you do the squeak, my thing goes from green to red in here.
Really? Wow, you push him into
I can make a man change colors in his boot.
he went from green to red thanks to you.
I like that.
Wow. Well, I mean, but looking at your stuff, so that was directed by Burt Reynolds himself, right?
Yes,
And how was that? Was that cool?
fabulous. Once again, an actor knows what it's like being an actor, and he's just a great director, and he's so humorous, and he reminded me so much of my dad. My dad even looked like him a little bit, so yeah, it was fun.
Was that a mood killer when you told him this?
It was a little, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
I had my own deja vu while I was speaking.
That's not something you'd really want to hear from a beautiful woman. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, just looking at, talk about Guns, by the way. We mentioned that, your second Sedaris
Yeah, Guns
movie.
was the second Sedaris movie, and I get killed in that. I got to do a squib death scene. Yeah, that was so much fun.
Does Eric Estrada avenge your death?
No, he does not. But someone else does. But I forgot who the actor was that did that.
Holy cats! They cast both guys from Chips, Bruce Penhall and Eric Estrada.
Yes. Bruce was the super good guy in that one. And John Aprea plays my love interest, and great actor from Donnie Brasco.
And Devin DeVasquez from House 2.
Yes,
Second
Devin
story.
is in that, but Donna is my girl.
Donna Spear,
is my
she's
girl.
the queen of Andy
And
Sedaris.
we just did a really bizarre autograph show in Long Island together. It was hilarious.
Why was it so bizarre? Give us
Because the guy running it, seriously, turned out to be certifiably insane and wanted by the FBI.
Wow.
I kid you not. But we got our money and it was great.
Wow, that's amazing. Sedaris has such a following. I mean,
I know. He was amazing.
wow.
And
Yeah.
his beautiful wife who produced everything, Arlene Sedaris.
Yes.
She's so fabulous too.
But you look at Guns, you look at Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and they're just bonkers. I mean,
Savage Beach was the best.
Savage Beach is the one he's most famous for.
I know.
Wow.
And that's the one I star in.
Oh,
I
that
love
is the one
one.
you star in, Little
Yes.
Miss. I wrote for Femme Fatales, and that's how I
Mm-hmm.
knew your name, because there'd always be a Lisa London picture or piece in every issue.
I love it. Thank you.
The late, great Fred C. Clark is smiling somewhere.
That makes me very happy.
Wow, yeah, because I auditioned for Lisa London, the casting director, but Lisa London, the Scream Queen, was always impressive.
I love it.
Wow. What was your favorite? We talked about not being ashamed of any of your films. What is the one you're most proud of?
Oh, gosh. Most proud of. Well, Law and Order is right up there because that's such a difficult thing to step into a show that, I mean, talk about, a closed off family and I'm the outsider, and I did it. I pulled it off. So that was great. I was actually told by the editor that he loved editing me, that he thought I was great, which made me feel just amazing. And Sudden Impact, of course. Everything, though. I mean, Savage Beach. I learned how to ride a little scooter that I didn't think I could ride. It was like a little mini motorcycle. There's just the Hep C awareness campaign. I mean, just trekking through those mountains and hikes that we had to do was like intense and great, and felt rewarding also bringing that message to the world and making people laugh in anything I do, making people feel and be aware of something different. War, Women Against Rape, even doing Samurai Cop 2, the laughter, the sheer delight and laughter that people had in that audience was worth everything to me. I mean, everyone loved that film, whether you like spoofs or not. It's fabulous. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. But everything I've ever done, I mean, there's been a little bit of growth that I garner and hopefully give back some message of enlightenment in some way in everything I do. Just to make you go, oh, that, yeah. Just think of something you didn't think of before.
You had one that ran on Cinemax for a while with Sean Young, of all people. You want to talk about Motel Blue?
Oh, that was
Oh,
fabulous.
she's blushing.
No,
as
I'm
a
not.
waitress.
I'm not blushing at all, actually. But what you're getting is that's the first film that I did with my husband, and they
Yes.
didn't know we were together. And we play lovers on it. I play the little slut mistress, and Sean Young plays his wife that turns out to be his daughter. So, hey, they think I messed up, right? But this is a great story. Of course, there's all these stars, Robert Vaughn, Sean Young, and
So little Moon Fluoride, whose godmother, Jean Coulter, was on our show.
oh, she's a little doll. Love her. But anyway, the rap party, right? They throw this big, gorgeous rap party.
no.
And the paparazzi and everyone starts screaming and yelling and applauding when we came. And we're thinking, okay, well, Robert Vaughn and Sean Young, they're already in there. They're the ones, they were all saying, wow. we thought you guys had the best chemistry and were just the best actors because we have this sex scene, right? That we've ever seen. Then we find out you're married. Then we got, God, they kept that secret for weeks. So it was pretty funny.
Were you afraid if they knew they wouldn't cast you both? Is that?
I just never, since then, I've been booked because my husband's now one of the most successful landscape architects like on the planet, but he'll still act if it's basically, the right opportunity comes up. So I've gotten him lots of auditions or opportunities. I never tell them that he's my significant other because I just like us to stand on our own about stuff like that.
When he was doing sex scenes with Sean Young, would you fume at craft service or were you on set?
Oh, God, no. I don't have a jealous bone in my body. Never have. And it's so funny. The competition I have I'm a super competitive person, like with sports, with acting, with everything. But it's all about my own standards of myself, like trying to better myself. I don't ever judge it against somebody. You can't in this business or you're crazy.
Wow.
It would drive you nuts.
How was Sean Young?
A doll, an absolute doll. Loved her.
Well,
And true talent.
interesting. All right, and then would you talk to her about Blade Runner or anything? Or
We didn't talk that much about anything except she was talking about how she wanted to have a kid and live somewhere else. And since then, she's done all that.
Wow.
Which is very cool. Yeah.
I think we need to talk about your kickboxer movie Deathmatch.
That was so much fun. Those were the same people that I did Legal Briefs for, the one that was on the USA channel.
Right.
And I play, it's a spoof on kickboxing movies.
Right.
And I play the arm candy of every single a kickboxer. So every scene you see that they're on their arm is the same girl. And all I do throughout the entire movie is giggle.
Wow.
That's it. Just giggle and squeak the whole movie.
Oh, so your squeaking actually has
I actually get paid for that. Yes,
Wow.
I do. And it was just a delight working with all these great guys.
You were in that with Matthias Hughes.
Oh yeah, everybody.
Martin Coe from Kaotic Kid.
Exactly.
And
You
Incredible
name
Hulk.
them, they're in.
Wow.
They're in it. Yes.
Just every cliche in that movie is
Yes.
stuff you'd see in canon movies
Absolutely.
for real.
I know. It was a lot of fun.
And having done a lot of canon movies, it must have been fun to kind of
It was
spoof the
hysterical.
format.
It was hysterical.
I love that you marched in on Malcolm Golan and guilt tripped him into getting
I
paid.
did.
I've never heard that working,
I bet it actually works more than people realize it works because there's something because nobody does. When you think about it, nobody really does that. Just goes up to someone when you're owed money and.
But he was blowing everyone off, including Charles Bronson.
He was blowing my agents off.
Wow.
Which really pissed me off. They had great agents then.
But now, this is the Canon building on Sunset, or was this the one? Wow.
Sunset.
Tell us about going to Canon. What did Canon look like,
It was big time. You knew that, you were in the presence of movie making, which is exciting and wonderful and still is till this day.
I saw the documentary.
Yeah, have you seen the
Canon
documentary?
Film.
on
Wasn't
Netflix?
that brilliant?
On Crow.
It had David DeValley talking in there and Lorraine.
Yes.
Yeah, Lorraine Landon.
I was actually invited to the premiere. I went to the premiere.
Did
Sam
you really?
Furstenberg told us about
The
it.
great
yeah.
Sam Furstenberg, who directed that. Wow. the
Motel
last-
Blue.
Yes. Wow.
Yes. And he also directed me in Agent of Death with Eric Roberts and Michael Madsen.
Wow. And Sam Furstenberg also worked with Dudikoff a lot. One of the big marquee names of canon, Michael Dudikoff.
Yes.
Get that Dudikoff kid.
But you talked about Menachem. Any stories with Yoram, his cousin, Yoram Globus?
Yes. Is he still with him now?
No. Well, no, they're both gone.
They're both
now.
dead.
No.
Yeah.
But I was going to
So
ask.
yes, I guess they are together.
Well,
Sort of, maybe.
I meant, Smarty, did you have any Yoram Globus stories?
No, none.
Because he did tell me, I named myself after the Golden Heights after the 6-Day War. He fought in the 6-Day War. You're
I know.
threatening a guy
were,
who kicked major
yeah, they were
ass.
major. They were very major.
And you walked in and guilted him into your money.
I did. You have
That
no
never
fear.
works.
I have no fear.
Wow. And why don't you, did they talk to you for the Canon documentary?
They didn't. And what was so strange about that, somebody a couple years before it came out called me and asked me if I would be interviewed? And I said, yes. And then I never heard.
Well, they probably had so many people, they just didn't, you know what I mean?
Well, they had fights over, there were two different dueling. And so I don't know what happened.
You know the story, what screwed everything up.
But there's going to be a book, and I'm definitely in the book. Wow. Yeah. Somebody in Boston or Chicago is writing a big book about them.
They turned around and Canon tried to do their own documentary.
Of course they would.
Yeah, because remember when him and
We'd be
Yoram,
missing a lot.
when him and Yoram broke up, in 2 minutes to break, okay, and when him and Yoram broke up, they both made competing Lambada movies. That's where Lambada and the Forbidden Dance came from. They were in competition with themselves.
Oh, that's so funny.
They
Of
opened
course
them on the
they
same
would.
day, and they both lost money.
So crazy.
Now, please, Lisa, plug. Where can we follow you on Facebook, online?
Yes. On Instagram, I am Lisa London LA. And on Facebook, I have a fan page, Lisa London Fan.
Aw. Well, we are now Lisa London fans.
And
forever.
in the
Thank
latest
you.
issue of Sensations magazine.
Yes, the beautiful Veva, the most
Veva,
gorgeous
and
editor
shout
that
out to
ever
Sal,
lived.
our buddy Sal.
who I only know from Facebook.
Oh, wow.
We've had him in the studio.
Veva, I
Sal's been
know
on
in the
there.
flesh.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, we hung out with Sal for a while.
Awesome.
Couple
Well,
hours.
I was honored to be on those pages. Yeah, my first high fashion shoot.
That was
you look
great. I
very
mean,
much-
the
I know.
dress, the red dress is just
Thank
stunning.
you.
Yes.
I love it.
I mean, all the color, the backgrounds, it was just beautiful.
Thank you.
You were an enchanting 2 hours, Glamour Puss. Thank you so much for doing the show.
You're welcome, you guys.
One more squeak for the road.
Okay. Chaoticradio.com.
One more time. Hold on, one more time.
Chaoticradio.com.
Oh.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the lovely Lisa London. Join us tomorrow for C. Courtney Joyner. Woohoo!
And another in-studio guest on Wednesday. And who knows what's going to happen by the end of the week.
Wow. Hey, thank you so much.
You're welcome. See Courtney Joyner. Where do I know that name?